Welcome guys, and we finally have the leaks for Kashtira. Decade has leaked the rest of the Kashtira cards together with the Rescue Ace cards, the leak beforehand, so we are getting the Eraser, the Kashtira Theosis, the Pressured Planet Wavesoft, Pressured Planet Raidsoft, Scarecrow Kashtira, and a Big Bang. And I think this will be a tough time for us, because if they release it without any restrictions, mainly to the Diablosis, the Mind Hacker, I think, or maybe some other cards, then it will be a pretty tier 0 meta, with Kashtira being all around on the ladder. Also, the fact that you can play the Dimensional Shifter is a big problem, because a lot of decks can't play under D Shifter, whereas the Kashtira deck can. Though if everybody then plays Kashtira, then it doesn't make any sense to play the Dimensional Shifters anymore in your Kashtira deck, because if you're only facing other Kashtira players, then why would you play the Dimensional Shifter? Then it doesn't make any sense, doesn't really affect Kashtira, your Kashtira opponent. So then they might begin putting that card out, and then maybe the other decks will have another chance. So for those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, this guy here, Dimension Shifter, which basically says that everything goes to the graveyard. Obviously the boss monster, the Eraser, that is coming, is also basically a permanent Dimensional Shifter, which says any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. And the card that I am talking about is Diablosis, the Mind Hacker, which Decade showed this in his video, is able to, if you get a 3-card combo consisting of Unicorn, Birth, and the Field spell, is able to basically lock 5 zones of your opponents, so you can choose either the monster zones or the spell and trap zones, depending on what is basically the dominant deck running around in the meta. So if, for example, a lot of back row decks would be played, then you would lock spells and traps, and if that's not the case, then you would lock the main monster zone. So very interesting to see what will happen with this card, but I think if this will get unbanished, if we get full power Kashtira, obviously, as of right now, we have some Kashtira cards that are already limited, the Fenrir. And if we get everything else basically at full power, then I think Kashtira will be the strongest deck, and everyone will play Kashtira, and this will be the new tier 0 meta, and it will be a lot of Kashtira mirrors. So it's up to you if you like that or not. Seems also to be the case that we don't get the Telements Kashtira, which means that Telements will not get its boost, but yeah, it could be a pretty stale tier 0 meta if we are unlucky. And I know that a lot of people didn't like the tier 0 Telements meta. I personally liked it when you had all these Telement mirrors, but that's also because Telement mirrors are way more fun and way more interactive and harder to play, so we have more room to master it than is Kashtira, which Kashtira is way more like straightforward, so you're basically always doing the same thing on turn 1. There are not these random effects that were in the Telements deck, so it's definitely different. It's definitely will be a different tier 0 meta if that's the case. I am very I'm very sure that we won't see any more limitations to the Fenrir, the Unicorn, or the Eraser, because these are the cards that we were getting in ultra rare rarity, and I don't think that they want to give us ultra rare crafting points back. So I think if they had the plan of like limiting these upon the release of the full Kashtira support, then they would not have made every one of them ultra rare, I think. But that's just me speculating. What I'm definitely seeing is the Field spell 2-1, as you can see. OCG has it also at 1, well, TCG has it at 3. Mastodon really likes to put the Field spells at 1, and I think so what you have to understand is Field spell is basically another searcher which searches any of your Kashtira monsters. You then would normally search your Unicorn, because Unicorn is basically your starter. You go Unicorn, search, if you do not already have it, your Theosis, which Theosis then is able to summon you a Fenrir. Fenrir can search you the Rysart, and then you can go into Shangri-Ira and an Rysart. And if you have more stuff, then you can also go for the Diablosis, lock 5 or lock 3 zones, depending on what you have on your hand. So this is consistency, and if this is missing, that means the deck will be less consistent. This deck can brick, that's for sure. It's super interesting. In the OCG, the deck never was that strong. As you can see in the OCG, Fenrir is banned. I think at the beginning it was at 1 or something. The Unicorn was at 1, so Kashtira never really took off in the OCG, because it was hit quite significantly right from the get-go. You can see OCG has the Eraser still at 3, but has limited the base monsters to a point at which people were not really able to make this deck very consistent. So it was never one of the top decks there, which is quite interesting. As I said, I am seeing this to 1. I think this will be the one limitation. I can't imagine that they put anything else to 1. Maybe I don't think that the Arisat will go to 1 or something. And the big problem here is, and that's why I think Kashtira will also be the tier 0 deck, is that, for example, one of the best cards we have to come back against a good established board is Zeus. But the problem is that with the full Kashtira archetype, full Kashtira power, because of the Diablosis and the fact that you have Unicorn, it's pretty easy to just rip the one Zeus that is available to your opponent out of the extra deck. What happened in the TCG with Kashtira, I mean, there it also was the strongest deck, but people were playing, because it is not at 1, people were playing multiple Zeuses, so when one Zeus gets ripped, then you can just play another one. Also in the mirror, if you go mirror, Kashtira mirror, then one of the best ways to out your opponent's board was Zeus, but that you can't go for. Also, we have the Purely deck, which is right now arguably the best deck, which also has one very nice comeback, Zeus, that's pretty available, but if you rip the Zeus from Purely, then that's also a problem for them. In terms of the Rescue Ace cards that we will probably get within the next pack, I am expecting only the first wave, so this will not make a big splash in the meta, so it will be a Kashtira heavy meta. I think tier 0, depending on what we will get banned here. Very interesting, but yeah, it was time that these cards finally come. After 2 packs ago, we were getting the first wave, which a lot of people were playing, but yeah, let's see how this plays out. Kashtira is coming finally, and we will see how bad it will be. Let me know in the comments what you think will happen, and if you like my videos, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell, as this helps me out a lot. We will see each other in the next one.